everyone, and welcome to Fright Bites, your semi-weekly source for horror reviews. I'm your host, The Fear Fan, and thanks for tuning in. Say, have you ever watched a movie so annoying, so irritating, that you just wanted to poke your eardrums out with a rusty nail? No? Well then, it's high time that we talked about Ghoulies 3, Ghoulies Go to College. As I said last time, I'm working my way through an 8-film horror collection I purchased. I've already covered Slaughter High and the Unholy, and I was going to cover 976 Evil 2, but after watching it, I think I'd like to give it the full Terra Obscura treatment one of these days. Awesome. Of course, while this may be the last Fright Bites dealing with this particular DVD set, it's also a bit of a first for me, since I usually don't talk about a film until I've reviewed all the movies in the series that have come before it. That said, I think we could use a little bit of background here. Created by Full Moon Studios' guru Charles Band, the man who brought us such budget masterpieces as Puppet Master, Demonic Toys, Dollman, and Dollman vs. Demonic Toys, yes, that exists. From what I can tell, the Ghoulies series is one of the wave of tiny terror movies that hit in the 80s. A veritable tide of critters, ghoulies, munchies, hobgoblins, gremlins, and who knows how many others lost to the sands of time and obscurity. Ghoulies was obviously meant to cash in on the craze. While I haven't seen the first movie, I have seen the sequel, and from what I recall, it was a fairly meh horror comedy that I've almost completely forgotten. The plot of Ghoulies 3, such as it is, follows two rival fraternities, the BZTs and the Gammas, as they vie against one another during Prank Week, a celebration that the faculty, led by Professor Ragnar, both despises and seems curiously powerless to stop. And if you're looking for a deeper explanation of either of these two groups, don't bother. Just think the good and bad frats from Revenge of the Nerds, only shittier and mixed with that one frat from that episode of The Simpsons.
Kappa Gamma Tau! Last in grades, first in pranks!
Heading up this calculatedly diverse den of douchebags is Skip Carter, prankster and jerk-ass extraordinaire. Currently he's concerned with A, winning back the pranking crown, and B, getting back his girlfriend Erin, who has dumped his ass like a sack of concrete when she realized that he was flushing his college education down the toilet over a stupid hat. This, by default, makes her the smartest person in the movie. And as fascinating as all of that is, what, you ask, about the Ghoulies? Well, ladies and gents, that, sadly, is where this movie shows you its sense of humor, which is unfortunately what sinks the entire film. Brace yourself, people, because this one is gonna hurt. As opposed to being killer miniature demons summoned into our reality by black magic, they are now a trio of idiots summoned into our dimension by reading a comic book aloud. And where do they come from, you ask? From a magical toilet, which is quite fitting given that this movie was probably thought up on, written on, and should have been left in a crapper. And of course there's one other change that is the single thing that renders this film a painful, irritating, nigh unwatchable mess.
What a dump!
That's right, in this movie, they can talk. Yes, the formerly mute creatures now have the power of speech, and they immediately put it to good use by using it to rape your eardrums through every single second of their screen time. I mean, it wouldn't be so bad if they just took turns throwing lame puns at you, but it seems like they're all so desperate to irritate you that they never shut up.
You're too slow and you're doing so much for all day long, morning, noon, and night.
I mean, for God's sake, I don't think they're even using actual words. I'm pretty sure that at least one of them is just making mindless humming noises. Seriously, can you even imagine what it would be like if us reviewers did that? Hey everyone, welcome to Fright Bites, your semi-weekly source for horror reviews.
And I'm sure
And as relentlessly annoying as the Ghoulies are, the human cast isn't much better. In fact, I'm not entirely convinced they're actually students at the college. They never seem to do anything other than playing pranks on one another, and they only seem to attend one class. Hell, they're so dumb that they can't even tell when Professor Ragnar sends his little pests to bump a few of them off. To be honest, I wonder how these morons even feed themselves. Yes, and with characters this mind-bogglingly stupid, it probably comes as no surprise that the comedy is on a par with them, with gags that are either lame, obvious, or so painfully juvenile that anyone whose sense of humor has evolved past pull my finger will quickly find themselves bored to tears by the laugh-free comedy. Still, that doesn't stop the film from trying, and most of the time, it seems as if it's trying way, way too hard. Hell, even the soundtrack sounds like it's trying too hard to be funny. And in the end, I think that's Ghoulies 3's major problem. It desperately wants to be funny, but it just doesn't know how to tell a good joke. Stephen King once said that horror is a lot like comedy and that people think it's easy. In one, you throw a cream pie in someone's face and the audience laughs. In the other, you toss a bucket of blood and the audience screams. Anybody who's ever tried either knows that that's bullshit, and Ghoulies serves as a perfect example of that. Take a look at The Three Stooges, considered by most to be the perfect example of lowbrow slapstick comedy. On the surface, it seems pretty simple. Three stupid guys getting into fights and being repeatedly conked on the head. Laugh, rinse, repeat. But if you take a deeper look, you start to see that there are a lot of things that go into making it funny. The verbal and visual setup, the rhythm and cadence of the movements, the actors' expressions and reactions, all of it comes together to make it humorous. The blows are only the punchline, and if you leave the rest of that stuff out, all you're left with is just a bunch of idiots hitting each other. Sadly, Ghoulies 3 doesn't understand this distinction and plows ahead regardless, mistaking poor puns for clever wordplay, mindless noise for comic timing, and cartoonish violence for comedy. And even though it's doing its best to be amusing, the end result is unfortunately a comedy of idiots, for idiots, by idiots. Anyway, that's all we have time for this week. I'll see you next time on Fright Bites. This is the Fear Fan, signing out.